Hi, I'm Miss Deb, and today we're going to make this cute little wallet. You can make any size you want. This is going to be very customizable to whatever you want to put in it. I have this little bitty one that I use to put treasures in or like to give as a present to someone. This has a little fossil stone in it. But today, for an example, I'm going to show you how to make this little wallet to keep your library card in. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to need to go find is a piece of paper, scissors, pen, straight edge, and your library card or whatever you want to make a wallet for. All right, go get them. Now we can make our pattern. Get the object that you're going to make your wallet for and lay it on the paper, and then mark a little bit, just like a quarter of an inch from this side, and make sure you leave a little bit of room on this side too. And then count 3, 1, 2, 3, and mark it there. And then draw out the lines. Now it's time to cut it out. Now we're going to check and make sure that it's the right size. 1, 2, I'm going to get a little bit. Yeah, that looks like about right. I'd like to have my corners curved. So I'm going to fold this in half. And just kind of make a little half curvy corner there. And since it's folded over, it will be the same on both sides. There, now we have our pattern for our library card. If you wanted to make it for something smaller, like this little jewel, you do the same thing. Just mark it like this. Number 1, 2, 3. Mark it up here, and then you would draw the lines and cut it out and sew that. All right, let's get sewing. For the next part, you're going to need some material. I'm using felt because it doesn't unravel on the edges. You could make felt if you have an old sweater that you don't want anymore. You could run it through the washer and dryer if it's made out of wool, because it will felt together. Or you can use some other really tightly woven fabric that won't unravel. You're going to need your pattern, some pins, just a couple, and a needle, and you can use embroidery thread or regular thread, whichever one you prefer. First, we're going to pin our pattern down to the material to hold it in place. Really, just 2 pins will do enough. Just pin a little bit on the top and pin it on the bottom. So in and then back out like that. All right. It's laying nice and flat, and then you can draw around it, or you can just take scissors and cut around it. I'm going to draw around it. I'm ready to cut out. Now we're ready to sew. Take your piece of material and fold it over. Make sure that your object's gonna fit in there. Leave a little edge at the top so that it fits down in. That looks good. And take a couple of pins and pin it together. All right, pin together. Now we're ready to sew. Like I said, you can use regular thread, or you can use embroidery thread. I'm going to use embroidery thread because I like how it shows up. But this one I made with just regular thread, and I think it turned out pretty nice too. So whatever you have. If you use embroidery thread, you have to separate. There's 6 little strands, and you want to separate them to 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we have our embroidery thread. Okay, now we're ready to thread our needle. So I started out with this needle that has a smaller eye in it, and it was really hard to thread. Even with a needle threader, I couldn't get the thread through. So I'm going to use one with a larger eye. They're much easier to thread. And when we're using this kind of material, it doesn't really matter how big it is. So we're going to thread our needle. First you wet the end of the string or thread, and then you stick it through the eye. We're going to double it, our thread, and make it really fat. So you pull this end down until you get them to be the same length. There we go. And then we're just going to tie a knot. You make a loop, just make a loop, and then you pull both ends through. And we're going to trim the end just below the knot. So you should have a needle with thread doubled and a knot in the end. Now we're ready to sew. So you're going to take your wallet, and we're going to start on the inside. So you have a little hole right here, and we're going to start on the inside so that when we pull the thread through, the knot will be in our wallet. No one will be able to see it. Kind of push it in there. And we're going to do what's called a whip stitch. So you just go through the front and out the back. And then through the front and out the back. And there's our little whip stitch. Now you're going to want to try to make these even. Through the front and out the back. Now we've gotten to the top. We want the knot to be on the inside. So you're going to kind of open it up And instead of going all the way through the back, we're going to go through the front. Actually, we're going to go in the front like this, so that the thread's on the inside. And then we're going to tie a knot. So we make a loop and tie the knot. And then we're going to clip it. And then we're going to do the same thing for this side. So once you get both sides sewn up, then you're ready to put on the fastener. If you have adhesive Velcro, you can just stick some Velcro on there. Or if you have a button, that would work well too. If you don't have either of those things, you can just use your flap and tuck it in like this, and that works well too. I'm going to put a button on mine, and this is the way you would do it. You fold this over like that, and then you put your button on there where you think you want it, and then kind of mark it with your pen. Where are you going to put it? Make sure that looks right. And then we're going to fold it in half right over the middle of the mark like that. And then snip it, just a little snip right where your mark is to make a little hole. Now we have a little hole, and we can enlarge it a little bit down, a little bit up. And then see if your button will fit through it. It does. Bloop. All right, so you know that you got your buttonhole. Fold it over and put a dot through the hole, right in the middle of the hole, and it will go onto the back side. And now you'll know where to put your button. Thread your needle again, put a knot in the end, and then come up through the inside near your mark, right next to your mark. So you're going to put a little bit, you're going to sew it on one side of the mark and on the other side of the mark. So then you're going to put your button, your needle through the back of your button, and this is, it has two holes in it, so I put the thread through the bottom of the mark, and so I'm going to put the bottom hole like that, and then put the needle through the top hole. Whoops. And then, there you go. Again, go from the back and then in through the front. And just maybe 2 or 3 stitches. You don't need very many. When you're ready to do your last stitch, go through the front into the inside and tie your knot on the inside. And then you clip it. And that's how you make a little wallet for your library card, or whatever you want to make it. Have fun sewing!